Sorry, and welcome back. We had some technical issues there with the stream, so apologies if this is the first you're hearing of it, but we've got Jack Hickey coming around the final set of corners here. He has invalidated, so he's not going to be able to get a lap in here, but he will go across the line to take the checkered flag. Who else can compete to take this pole time? Jovial Manatee coming around the last final sections here, Jack. Do you think he'll be able to take it from New Zealand Cam?
No, he's not improving at the moment. Jovial Manatee is struggling ever so much to put the pressure on. He's going to peel into the pits. Matt Tibos and ERT Casper late in the day, though, they stole 5th and 6th towards the end of that session. Dan the Man was improving and was looking like he was going to challenge for a top row grid spot, but he faded off towards the end of his lap as well. Alistair Bain, who disconnected from the session, he's coming round now. He's not improving in sector 2, but he could try and force his way onto the 4th row of the grid, and no, it's not enough. It's only going to be P9 for the former TGP1 race winner Alistair Bain, and New Zealand Cam on pole position for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
So there you have it, New Zealand Cam taking your pole position here. Softy, he'll be kicking himself from that mistake that he made right towards the end of the session, and Jack Hickey doing all he could to try and improve, but just not enough, unfortunately. He seemed to have invalidated as well. So we'll quickly run through your order here. So New Zealand Cam taking that pole position to stop Softy from getting his 90th career pole in TGP1, with Softy on the second row very, very close behind him, and Jack Hickey rounding out your podium places at the moment, with Jovial Manatee in 4th, ERT Casper in 5th, Matt Tibos in 6th, Jonas in 7th, Dan the Man in 8th, Alistair Bain in 9th, and Lewis Craig rounding out your top 10. Then we have Aidan, Dom, Phil Bardwell, Wet Lemons, Court Gill, Jack Pearson, Chris Johnson, and finally Lorraine on ITV, 2 seconds down, rounding out all of the places there. So I hear from the drivers that there is a 22% chance of rain in Abu Dhabi. Now, we have seen some twists this season, and you can see from the screen here, it is a bit overcast. So, Jack, what would happen here if the drivers suddenly get themselves caught in a rain cloud?
Well, it's just going to be one of those. You can't risk it. Everyone will be running the dry setups, of course, because it's just one of those places. You're not often much rain, but the guys are just going to have to up the downforce if they do come into the pits, maybe adjust the flaps on the wings. But it's all about concentration. You know the guys around you are not going to be running wet setups, so it's just keeping it on the island. Don't get any track limit penalties, and just focus, keep the car on the island, and you should be okay, unless there's anyone who can master the wet conditions. But as we get ready to get going, hopefully it won't come too much of a factor, as it causes a bit of chaos in the commentary box when it does get a bit wet.
It does indeed, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights illuminated in Abu Dhabi. Could we see some rain here? And it's lights out and away they go. And it seems that Softy's got a brilliant start there alongside New Zealand Cam. New Zealand Cam is really, really getting challenged there. I can't see on the screen here, and it's New Zealand Cam's being pushed out wide. Softy's on the inside, both on the medium tyres. Softy gets into the lead, and it looks all relatively clean behind. But can New Zealand Cam come back at him here? Is he going to try and do a Max Verstappen-esque move into the corner here? He thinks better of it. There's slight contact from New Zealand Cam, and they're going to be drag racing down the straight now. Softy versus New Zealand Cam. This is what we've been seeing all throughout the season. New Zealand Cam seems to not be using as much ERS at this point, and oh my goodness, who's it going to be? Coming into the corner, New Zealand Cam retakes the lead. Can Softy hang it around the inside? Softy gets around the inside, a little bit more contact. New Zealand Cam not letting up here, Jack, and I think he's finally got it.
And Casper is actually having a wee battle as well. He's gained 2 positions off the start of this Grand Prix, and he is wanting a piece of the action. He's right on the back of Softy. Softy made the move into turn number 1. Casper tried to hold it around the outside, but went off track, so had to give it back. But the straight line speed for the first time this season is probably going in the Williams driver's favour. Softy's been the straight line speed master so far throughout the 11 rounds we've had, but it wasn't enough for Cam. And Cam, 5 times now, he's got to try and get out of that DRS before anyone else can catch up. Jack Hickey's had a disaster. He's down to 5th after starting in P3. Cam sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
What a shame for Jack Hickey, as he did have that amazing 3rd place starting position, but we did see 2 of the Ferraris switching positions by the looks of things earlier on in the lap, but relatively line astern at the moment. Closest battle on track is probably between Softy and New Zealand Cam, and a bit further down the field between Matt Tibos and Jack Hickey. Jack Hickey's still trying to recover here, but can we see Softy now, only 4 tenths behind New Zealand Cam, try and take it to him into this tight chicane? going on board with Softy now. We're actually seeing some moves down the field here. Tibos getting overtaken by Dan the Man. Going back to Softy versus New Zealand Cam. And Softy biding his time, getting tucked in behind, trying to get the better run on New Zealand Cam coming out of here. We're seeing some more positions between Dom and Aiden swapping at the back there, but we're going to stay on board with this. As Softy is in the slipstream, I think he's going to be too far back at this point, but he is in a great position as to when DRS gets activated, Jack.
Absolutely, and he's conserving the battery in the back of the Aston Martin, saying he's been much better than Cam this season, holding on to his battery life. He can hold on a lot longer than Cam has this season. There was battles further down as well. Dan the Man starting on the soft, so he has a big advantage over Matt Tibbles, who is on the hard competent tires. Probably the first time we've seen Matt Tibbles go for that strategy on the hards. It's usually Machine Ireland who's not here tonight to do that, so Matt Tibbles taking that advantage. Court Gill, he's at 3 positions as well. It's a good start for him. But Softy just falling away ever so slightly. It's about 7 tenths to gap now. Casper, he just needs to hold on as well, and he needs to watch out because Jovial Manny and Jack Hickey behind are going to want to make some moves. Dan the Man is up the order as well. He's going aggressive. He's on the soft compound, so he needs to get these moves done before we get to the pit stop phase for himself and the Alpha Romeo crew. Dan the Man's had a good season so far, but he's been stuck behind that McLaren and Jack Hickey more times than not this season. Casper now, he's closer to Softy than Softy is to Cam, but Softy now using the DRS, and he's not going to be close enough this time. But during the chicane, what can he do? Can he close the distance? The Williams has had a wee bit of a moment, a wee bit of a tank slapper. Softy loading up the DRS, won't use his battery yet. He's just conserving it. He's going to close and close and close. Will he go for a late move to the left hand side? No, he doesn't, but he is setting a fastest lap at the moment, maybe just trying to force Cam into a mistake this time.
It's all to play for here behind. New Zealand Cam and Softy are obviously in their own battles at the moment, but Casper, Jovial Manatee, Jack Hickey, Dan the Man, all very close on the track here. Dan the Man using those soft tyres to his advantage in the early stages. He has to get the moves done early because those soft tyres will drop off compared to the medium runners later on. We're expecting the pit lane to be having drivers coming in for their pit stops around lap 9 for the soft runners, lap 10 for the medium runners, as we saw on the graphic earlier on there, as Softy sets the fastest lap of the race, hunting down New Zealand Cam. And yeah, all kind of starting to settle a bit further back, even though they're all within a second. No big moves happening, but Softy is much closer on this lap here. He's coming, he's got a nice tight line there to get the best run onto the back straight. We're going to go on board with Softy here with the T-Cam. He's going to have the DRS open. Will he try and get the move early doors? He looks like he's closing. He's closing. He's going to go to the left here. Oh, and he's playing a bit of sportsmanship games here. He's hung behind New Zealand Cam, wanting that second DRS zone to get the move done here, but he gets a decent drive. New Zealand Cam gets a decent drive as well, and he has dropped a little bit of time here. But will he get this done now? DRS is open. He's going to go to the inside. Cam's a bit helpless here. He cuts up the inside. Cam hanging it around the outside here. And Cam seems to be holding on here and will have the advantage into the next corner, Jack.
The grip in the Williams is just providing Cam enough speed to hold on, and Casper behind is going to want a piece of the action sooner rather than later, but Cam holding on for dear life at the moment. He's trying to hold on to his battery as well, but the DRS wasn't enough for Softy on the previous lap, maybe not taking that move when he had the opportunity to, costing him on lap number 4, but we begin lap number 5, and Cam now is going to have to try and peel away because he cannot hold off that pressure from Softy for the rest of the race.
If there's anything that we know, Softy learns lap on lap here as to what he needs to do to get past the next driver. New Zealand Cam, not one to be discredited either, in that fast Williams with a decent grip. Softy now back within under 3 tenths. Now, I know New Zealand Cam's had a moment. Softy is going to be getting the DRS here. It's going to be a drag race down to the chicane. He goes back into the slipstream, goes back to the outside, and I think it's going to be an easy move here from Softy. Will Softy cut back up to make sure New Zealand Cam doesn't dive up the inside? He doesn't, and he's got the move done now, but New Zealand Cam is 2 tenths behind, 3 tenths at the moment. We've got other places being made in the back here, but we're going to stick with New Zealand Cam. Can New Zealand Cam? I think he's going to be too far back here to make any move into this long left-hander, but that was a shame for New Zealand Cam there, and he's going to be kicking himself that he made that slight mistake, isn't he, Jack?
Yeah, he had such great grip around the long, swooping left-hander on the previous lap, but the traction just wasn't there in the Williams that time, and it cost him the lead of the Grand Prix. Dan Le Mans made a lovely move on Jack Hickey round the outside of the chicane. What a move it was on the soft compounded tyres. So he's up into P5. Now he's got the AlphaTauri ahead of Jovial Manti for company, and Casper, he needs to get in on this action and try to get past Cam, because he cannot let Softy get away, but Cam is going to try and keep the pressure on. It's less than 2 times the gap out front.
New Zealand Cam almost pushing Softy around turn 1 there, taking a much tighter inside line. Has Softy burnt up these medium tyres early on, trying to make the moves? We'll soon find out, but New Zealand Cam in an excellent position to be striking distance to Softy coming into that chicane. Will he be able to make a move here? He seems to still have some traction issues coming out of that left-hander onto the back straight. And I don't know if that's going to be hampering him in his fight against Softy. We'll soon see. But on boards, there's nothing doing at the moment. Can he stay nice and tight here, coming around this chicane to Softy and get a decent drive? It looks like he has. And he's three and a half tenths. Will he use some ERS to get past Softy here? DRS wide open. We're coming down here. We're going to actually cut down to Jack Hickey, who's going to make the move here on Dan the Man. Is he not? No, just not doing. Dan the Man seems to have enough traction in those soft tyres as it stands at the moment. Dan the Man looks to have a slight moment there. Jack Hickey almost licking his lips, seeing the possible opportunity coming out of that long left-hander. But yeah, all still to play for. Nothing actually quite settled here as we're coming into the pit stop window in about 3 laps, Jack.
Casper almost made a move on Cam as well during that double left-hander as we were watching the battle further back. Casper was having a wee bit of a sniff through his front wing, but wasn't quite enough as Cam slammed the door shut. But Cam, yeah, seems to be having some issues getting to top speed as fast as Softy. The Aston Martin seems to get to his top speed a lot easier than Cam does, but Cam at this part of the track during sector 1 seems to be the faster man, and Casper's actually had a moment further back as there's a yellow flag in sector 1. Lane has crashed out the Grand Prix, but Cam now, he's going to open the DRS this time around. He won't use the battery because he's not got enough. Softy absolutely fine on the battery deployment department so far, but it gets to about 2 times, and Cam
and sorry, further back, Jack Hickey on the medium tyres has overtaken Dan the Man into the chicane. Can he hold that position? We'll soon see, as Jack Hickey now has still got the DRS because of the cars ahead, because it is such a tight race at the moment. New Zealand Cam, he's very close behind Softy, but no, doing into that long left-hander. Can he make some absolutely crazy move into the hotel section? I don't think it's going to happen, but something to watch. But yeah, it was a fantastic move from Jack Hickey there to get past Dan the Man, and Dan the Man needs to work back at this, as I'm sure his soft tyres will start to be dropping off now.
Yeah, Dan Le Man's going to be peeling into the pits in the next couple of laps. The soft tyres don't last very long around here. They're only going to get 7 to 8 laps of good tyre life. So the Alfa Romeo pit crew could be getting ready sooner rather than later. And someone we've got to watch out for, Cam, is going to try and take the lead of the Grand Prix, and Softy moves back to the right hand side and manages to hold on, and Jovial Manti is right on the back of Casper as Casper's gone wide into turn number 1 and comes back onto the track. Jovial Manti can't quite make the move for the final step of the podium, but Cam is going to try and make the move into turn number 5. He moves to the left hand side, dies late, going to be later on the brakes than the Aston Martin. They're side by side through the turn. Softy's trying to fight it with everything he's got. He won't use any of his battery. It's going to be a straight run up. Cam takes the lead, but Softy back into the slipstream he goes. Should be an easy move, but Cam with the DRS manages to hold on for now.
Yeah, it looks like Cam got that DRS line detection absolutely perfect and diving up the inside, very Max Verstappen-esque of 2021. And Softy now will have the DRS. I don't know if he'll be close enough here. He looks very close, but not doing. He's going to bide his time. He knows that the pit stops are coming up. He knows he just needs to hold on as Softy goes very wide out of that long left-hander. Hopefully he hasn't had a warning penalty for that, because that could add up and could cost him this race in such a tight field that we're still seeing, even on lap 8. Less than a second between most of the drivers coming up through to the top 10. And my goodness, I didn't think it would be so nip and tuck with the drivers here, but this is a fantastic race so far. And let's keep on it, as I'm sure there'll be plenty more action as Dan the Man dives into the pits.
Yep, those soft tyres, he's calling it a day in the Alfa Romeo crew, and Casper picks up a time penalty, so that could cost him his podium. And with the way this race is going, this could actually cost him a chance at maybe even the top 8. The top 9 seem to all be so close to each other at the moment, but Softy, no warning for him. He managed to keep it on the island just calm. He has 1 warning to his name so far, so the top 2 just need to keep it between the white lines right now, but Softy not going to be close enough at the moment. He's kind of lifting off a wee bit in the back straight, not wanting to make the move at this part of the track. Lewis Craig under pressure from Alistair Payne for P10, but Alistair not close enough either to make the move. But now it's all on Dan the man. He's down in P16, but
Softy, apologies to interrupt here, Softy going around the outside here on New Zealand Cam to take back the lead. New Zealand Cam almost pushing him round the corner here, nearly contact. New Zealand Cam goes a little bit wide, but seems to keep it on the island, and Softy is back in the lead, and crucially back in the lead as we're approaching the pit window.
Absolutely, you want to be first into the box, you want to be the first man out the box, get the clean air, and Casper's almost lost it. He's almost Latifi'd, he's managed to save it, but he's going to be under so much pressure from Jovial Mani, who actually decides to call it a day, and he's the first man into the pits. Will we see a chain reaction now from the top 5?
The pit window does open on lap 10 for those medium runners, as the normal strategy would stand. Apparently you can go all the way to lap 19 on the mediums, but I don't know why you would do that. But yeah, I'm sure this will start a chain reaction. We tend to see that the undercut is rather strong on most tracks on F123, and will Jovial Mani gain an advantage by pitting well before his other racers in this race? New Zealand Cam is on the back of Softy here. He is closing slowly. Will he hang back for the second DRS zone? It looks like he's going to, and he is just going to tuck in behind Softy here and try and get the better drive off this second corner in the chicane. Softy having a slight moment there, but nothing that's going to affect him too much. New Zealand Cam now, DRS open. He's using some ERS at the moment. Will he go to the outside? He goes to the outside. Can he make the move? Stick on Softy going around the outside here. Softy dives up the inside, and it looks like Softy has kept this at the moment. But oh my goodness. Apologies. It's still going through the hotel section. New Zealand Cam later on the brakes, and Softy has to yield. What a move from New Zealand Cam to make an overtake in that spot of the track. And that could be crucial in this race, especially as I'm sure the drivers will be looking to pit either this lap or the next.
Softy is not going to be happy with that as Casper and Cam peel into the pit. Softy, the only man on track. He's going to use that full battery that he has available in the back of the Aston Martin. He needs to get a move on now. Doing the overcut in the Aston Martins. That's their strategy for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Softy, no, not going to be happy being forced off the track. Shouldn't have got a warning for it, so he should be okay. But now it's all about Dan the man, where he's going to be in comparison. Him and Jovial Mani, they've come out. Will they be ahead of Cam and Casper? They have. Jovial Mani is your net leader, and Dan the man is in P2.
So looking there to see that the undercut is powerful round here. Jovial Mani and Dan the man making pit stops when it matters most. Jovial Mani on the soft tyres. Can he get them to last to the end of the race will be the question in the strategy rooms at the moment. Dan the man is under pressure here from New Zealand Cam. New Zealand Cam, despite Dan the man having DRS, is right on the back of him on those soft tyres, and he outbrakes him. Will he make it up the inside? There's a little bit of contact there. Dan the man may not be too happy with that, as it's compromised his corners, and he has been left out to dry by New Zealand Cam. I'm sure the stewards will take a look at that, because it did look a bit cheeky from New Zealand Cam, but New Zealand Cam has dispatched him more importantly. And will he be able to get in front of Softy when Softy goes to make his pit stop? Jovial Mani, the next one up the racetrack.
Yeah, Cam's got no time for this. He can't be battling with these guys in this crowd, because this
Softy
is only going to
pits.
allow Softy some time. He's in the pits. It's going to be softs for the soft cop. Johners and Matt Tibbles will join him, and so will the rest of the top 5. Jovial Mani now coming round the final corner. He should absolutely blast past Softy, who's only just coming out of his pit box now. Softy could drop down to around about P5 here. Jovial Mani sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's got Cam for company in P2, and Softy has dropped all the way to P8, which should be a net P5. Will he drop behind Jack Hickey as well? They might be tight coming out the pit lane. No, he's going to survive from Jack Hickey now, and Softy, with 2 lap fresher soft tyres, has got to get a move on.
New Zealand Cam making the move on Jovial Mani there, doing what he did before on Softy by getting the move done after the DRS line. So he's going to have DRS to then take on Aidan Griffins ahead, who I believe hasn't yet to pit, with Phil Bardwell and Tibos as well, yet to pit too. So New Zealand Cam retaking the net lead of this race. And Softcop, what will he be able to do here to take it back to New Zealand Cam? We'll have to see. But it looks like Aidan Griffins is out of ERS, and that was an easy move from New Zealand Cam.
Yeah, Cam flew past him. Jovial Mani and Casper will do the same in the next couple of corners. But this is it. Softy made the call to do the overcut. He knows the drama that's happened this season in TGP1 with crashes late on in Grand Prix. He's had some incidents himself, and he's had some unfortunate, and there you go, Cam makes the mistake. He's been inconsistent so far this season, and there's the 3-second time penalty. So maybe taking the pressure off Softy now, who's got to try and put some pressure on the medium runner of Dan Leman as Cam sits the fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
New Zealand Cam, 3-second time penalty. That could be the difference between winning and losing this race. Luckily, he's got some clean air out in front of him, so he'll be able to put the laps in to try and build that gap, that net gap to Softy at the moment, who looks to be easily taking on Dan the Man here, but he seems to be trapped, and oh my goodness, nearly goes into the back of ERT Casper, but somehow manages to avoid it. ERT Casper going wide, and Softy now, he's got the DRS, I believe, and he's going to make the move on Dan the Man. He needs to dispatch him quickly if he wants to make his way up the field relatively quickly here, and he seems to have got the job done. Next up the road is Casper. Sorry, it was Aidan Griffin who went off the road before. Next up the road is Casper and Jovial Manatee that are the gaps between New Zealand Cam.
And Casper isn't looking in his mirrors, he's looking ahead. He's going to try go round the outside of Jovial Mani, the man that took the net lead of the Grand Prix with his great strategy call. The Alpine trying to try hold it around the outside, that will turn to the inside, where Cam took the lead of the Grand Prix on Softy previously. Casper takes P3. What a move it has been, and Softy's wanting a bit of the action as well in the hotel section, but can't quite get the move done there. It should be Softy next time around though, passing Jovial Mani and Cam. 3 seconds ahead of Casper, needs to keep this pace going.
Well, we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. There seems to be a problem. And we've got a virtual safety car. It seems to be Wet Lemons has had a moment, and the virtual safety car is out, which is going to only kill Softy's race here to try and get back. Will we see anybody come into the pits to make a tactical pit stop here to go onto the soft tyres to finish the race on? I think Aidan Griffins and Lewis Craig have jumped into the pits under this virtual safety car. Will that help them come up the fields in their race strategies? We'll soon see, but Softy is going to be seething at that virtual safety car and hoping that the virtual safety car will end relatively quickly.
He'll be wanting it to end fast. Aidan Griffins, he makes his pit stop under the VSC, so that actually allows him to keep his position. Matt Tibbles picks up a drive through, so that ruins his race completely. Lewis Craig making his second stop, so that is a tactical stop to go on the softs to try and gain some positions with the 7 laps to go in the Grand Prix. But it's all down to Casper now. How long can he hold up Softy, who's around about a second back? It's just jumped to 7 tenths. They're 3 seconds adrift of Cam now. Cam needs to keep this going. He's got no ERS, so he cannot allow Softy to get in that 3 second gap, or it's going to be curtains for Cam and winning the Grand Prix. But how much will Casper defend his position knowing that there's a penalty at stake at the moment?
We'll soon see. Softy now 8 tenths behind Casper. He's going to be in striking distance come the next DRS zone on the next lap. We've got another yellow flag in Sector 3 as we've seen what looks to be Jack Pearson, I think, has gone off the road in a full safety car. It's a full safety car in Abu Dhabi, and this is only going to help Softy to be able to close that gap. New Zealand Cam's 3 second time penalty is going to be the difference between him winning and losing this race now. Oh my goodness, it's just fallen into Softy's hands after that virtual safety car. He is going to be delighted that this safety car has come out, but he's going to need the safety car to come in with plenty of racing laps to go so he can get past Casper and get right behind Cam. But Cam's race win seems to be falling through his fingers as we speak.
Well, it's been this way all season. Cam has had moments to win Grand Prix. He's not been able to be consistent. He's made mistakes and it's cost him opportunities. We've seen it at Spa. 1 lap to go in the lead of the Grand Prix. He spun, costing him a chance at another race victory. Softy's been the man that's been consistent all season, no time penalties, which allows him to win the Grand Prix, and Calm will be absolutely devastated if he cannot pick up the victory here in Abu Dhabi. Casper as well, making another mistake that's going to cost him a chance at the podium. But this brings Jovial Mani, Dan the Man, Jack Hickey, and even Matt Tibos, who I think actually does have to stop because he had a drive-through previously. But Alistair Bain and company could all be in with a shout of a podium.
Indeed, as we've got Softy there on the soft tyres. We've got New Zealand Cam, I believe, on the soft tyres as well. All the front runners seem to be on the soft tyres. I don't think there's any medium runners within the top 8. We've got Matt Tibos yet to pit on the hard tyres. Alistair on the soft as well. So there's no tyre advantages here necessarily when the green light goes. And Casper comes into the pits now. Cam's in the pits as well. Softy retakes this lead. Are we going to see a recreation of Abu Dhabi 2021 potentially here, where they're trying to do a tyre offset? We'll soon have to find out. But Cam's lost a lot of places there, and I don't know if that was the best choice for him there, Jack.
He's going to lose them positions anyway with a penalty. So if he's got fresh rubber, maybe he thinks his pace, his natural pace around about these guys, the Dan Lemans, the Jack Hickeys, the Jovial Mani, maybe he can pick up those positions and still finish on the podium. So it's kind of it's not really a big risk because he would be finishing around P5 anyway, and he should be able to get 3 seconds ahead of these guys, Alistair, Phil and Court. So not too much of a risk, I don't think, from the Williams crew there to make that decision. And Casper, the same boat. It's kind of, they're going to finish around about 5th, 6th, 7th anyway with the penalty, so maybe it's worth the risk and try getting that tyre advantage to pick up some podium positions if they can. Dan the Man on the mediums, Stephen Lappold mediums in 3rd. They should be able to catch him and get 3 seconds ahead of Dan the Man. So maybe they're just trying to risk the podium, especially with the races they've had. They deserved the podium, so it kind of makes sense for them. But they know Softy's going to win the Grand Prix. They're not going to get 3 seconds ahead of Softy on the same. Softy obviously had the fresher rubber, so it kind of makes sense to not battle with Softy and just let him win the Grand Prix. There's no point fighting him. It's just a losing battle.
Yeah, good analysis there. And yeah, I'd have to be in agreement. Softy is now in that net lead. Nobody's really going to be able to take it to him, I don't think, unless they've got a serious tyre advantage at the moment. Jovial Manatee will give it a good go. And we can't count him out at this point, but he's got a tall order to try and take the lead here. Dan the Man on those mediums will potentially struggle come the race restart, but will the medium tyres have more life in them, and will he have more pace towards the end of this race? That'll soon be something that we'll have to find out. But yeah, it seems that the pack is starting to bunch up now. I'd expect the safety car to be coming in this lap, given the normal kind of safety car procedures that we tend to see on F123, and that will give Softy plenty of time to try and build a gap to Jovial Manatee, but also Jovial Manatee plenty of time to try and mount an attack here. New Zealand Cam, can we see him coming back up into the podium positions? We'll soon find out, but all still to play for here, Jack.
Well, we're in for a treat. We're going to get DRS on the last lap of the Grand Prix. So if Jovial Manatee or Dan the Man can just hold on until lap 20, it could be a run to the line. Jovial Manatee has been known to run the lowest wings of anyone in the league, so it could be Softy under pressure. Everyone's going to have a full battery. Hopefully, even if Softy does get a win, we get a battle, and obviously DRS on that final lap could be very, very interesting. The person this actually affects the most, though, is Lewis Craig. He stopped under the VSC. The safety cars practically neutralised the Grand Prix, and that's not allowed him to regain the positions he would have liked, as the guys ahead of him have now stopped for fresher rubber as well. So it kind of cost Lewis that safety car towards the end. Dan the Man, though, as the safety car is going to come in, Jovial Manatee, he just needs to keep on Softy and try and keep the pressure on until that DRS comes in lap 20.
Indeed, so we're going to go on board here with Jovial Manatee to see if he can stay with Softy when Softy makes the jump. Softy already starting to back the pack up here to allow that safety car to come in, so he has a clean run to go when he wants to go when it's time to restart this race. Jovial Manatee not doing any weaving that we would expect sometimes from the drivers to ensure that their tyres are nice and warm. He must be doing the Kimi Räikkönen style of warming his tyres, but will allow the method in the madness here. And will we see Softy get that jump on Jovial Manatee? The safety car rounding the final corner any second now, and Softy's gone. Softy is gone, and the safety car hasn't actually entered the pit lane, but he's gone. And Jovial Manatee, can he close this gap? Softy already 7/10 ahead. Looks like it's going to be a tall order for him, but we'll see. The New Zealand Cam already making a move on Jack Hickey into the first corner, gets the move done round the outside into turn 2. A great move and a very important move for his race as well, as we see plenty of other drivers trying to nip and tuck around as we're coming into this long left-hander onto the back straight. But that was really important for him, wasn't it, Jack?
Absolutely. Casper did the same. He got ahead of Alistair Bain, who's dropped behind Phil Bardwell as well further back. But Dan Le Man's the man to watch out for. He's 2 tenths back. Jovial Manetee's low wings that we were coming on earlier are not helping him at all. He's under pressure from Cam as well. Down the inside, Cam goes, and he's having to P2. So that fresh rubber from Williams has worked out a treat. And now he's only 1.4 seconds behind Softy. He can try and hold on to the podium if he can get far enough ahead. But Dan Le Man, it looked like he was going to make the move, caught maybe with Cam's late brakes and that maybe not allowing Dan Le Man to sneak onto the podium for now. But Casper needs to get past Jack Hickey sooner rather than later, and his teammate Court Gill's going to try and make a move round the outside of Alistair Bain, but Alistair Bain slams the door shut as Casper now does pass Jack Hickey for P5.
My goodness, it was a great restart there. We didn't see that New Zealand Cam would have made that dive bomb into the corner. He pulled it off beautifully, and it was the only way that he's going to be able to try and bring it to Softy with 2 laps to go now. He's in a perfect position behind Softy to be able to get that slipstream on this lap. He's not going to have the access to DRS until lap 20, as Jack highlighted under the safety car, but he is already 3 tenths behind Softy. That fresh rubber really paying off now, and he's actually making the move. He's making the move. There's a little bit of contact between Softy and New Zealand Cam, but New Zealand Cam hasn't lost too much time here. He is really, really going for it. He's got the ERS wide open as the DRS isn't yet available, and he's going to make the move. He dives up the inside between Softy and Cam here. Softy still has the inside, and Cam is getting squeezed around the outside, but Softy provides the space here. Cam completely has no energy left. Softy still has energy and is using it to get past again, but this is really, really close, and Cam's going to have to try and make the move really, really quickly here, unless Softy makes a big mistake, because that 3 seconds isn't going to eliminate itself, and he is really pushing Softy here, Jack. This is going to get spicy.
This is absolutely getting spicy, but Cam, he kind of needs to make this move. He's under pressure on losing this podium to Jovial Manatee. At the moment, he is safe, but that is absolutely just clawed in. He needs to get past Softy.
He's made the move! Oh my goodness me!
He's trying to hold around the final corner, and Cam leads the Grand Prix. He wants to win on the road. He wants to finish on the podium, and he needs to do this. He needs to get ahead, and he needs to get clear of Jovial Manatee by another second.
Softy's normally level-headed here, but he's not going to be happy with that move up the inside into the final corner. And whilst he understands that he's not going to lose the race at this point, I'm sure he'll still want to get past him on track. And Softy now 5.5 tenths behind New Zealand Cam. I don't think he's going to try and make the move here. He's just going to cruise up behind him. He's going to wait until that second DRS zone, I'm sure. And that's what he's doing. So we'll look a bit further back here as we've got some moves going on here into the first quarter of the chicane. And my goodness, Matt Tibos and Phil Bardwell having a good old battle here as we've got Court Gill coming back at him. We're going to go back to Softy here. Will Softy get him on the track? He's going up the inside, and it looks like he's going to try and hang it around the inside as New Zealand Camp's still going around the outside here with absolutely no energy to spare, and he is staying ahead on the road, and I don't think it's going to be enough for him to be able to take this win with that 3-second time penalty unless Softy makes a big mistake. But ERT Casper is pressuring Softy here as Phil Bardwell gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And this has been a thrilling end to the finish here as ERT Casper isn't going to try and make a move here. New Zealand Cam comes across the line, but Softy is your winner here. to take the win in Abu Dhabi. We've got some moves happening in the background here, but nothing really doing, as that was a thrilling end to the race, as New Zealand Cam's 3-second time penalty is the thing that has made the difference between winning and losing this race, unfortunately. But wow, what a great safety car restart, Jack A.
Absolutely great racing in that last couple of laps after the safety car, but once more, time penalties and inconsistencies cost Williams a race win, and it's been a disaster season for Cam so far. P2 though, he'll be happy he managed to keep on the podium. That was probably the plan when they came in under the safety car, but this man, the soft cop, the Great Brit man driver, he just cannot be stopped at any point this season, and he closes in on that record-breaking 7th World Championship.
He does indeed. Aston Martin over the moon with his performance today. New Zealand Cam, probably the biggest loser here, unfortunately, with that 3-second time penalty. It was all for his to win, and just that mistake to get those multiple warnings is what has cost him a crucial win here in Abu Dhabi. Casper, over the moon with that third place, from what I'm hearing from the drivers, and he is elated to be on the podium here in Abu Dhabi. So we're just going to quickly run through your order here. Softy taking that win despite the challenges from New Zealand Cam in the final laps here, with Casper rounding out your podium. Very, very happy with that one. Jovial Manatee in 4th place with Dan the Man in 5th. Court was your driver of the day, coming in 6th place here with Jonas in 7th, Tibos in 8th, Alistair Bain in 9th, and Chris Johnson rounding out your top 10. Then we have Jack Hickey, a race to forget for him, as he actually started in 3rd place in this race, down in 11th. Lewis Craig in 12th. Phil Bardwell in 13th and 14th, with the two Ferraris in 13th and 14th there. Dom Smith, Jack Pearson in 15th, Wetlam in 16th, Aiden 17th, and Lorraine on ITV DNFing in this race to round out your order. But wow, brilliant racing in Abu Dhabi. And I thought that Abu Dhabi was going to be a relatively boring race compared to Saudi, but Saudi's going to have to really do something here to top that one, because that was some fantastic close racing throughout the whole of the race, Jack.
Absolutely, we've had a great season at TGP1, and it just shows you this whole season's been wonderful, and we can't expect anything less. It's topsy-turvy until the final moments of the session. Cam, absolute disaster for him picking up the time penalty, not getting that win. Great to hear that Casper is delighted with the podium. He worked hard after picking up his penalty to get back on there. But now we head to Jeddah, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. One-shot quali, 13 laps. This track is one of the more dangerous ones in terms of flying laps. It's so hard to get right, and if you do get it wrong, you're not going to live to tell the tale towards the end of the Grand Prix. With no safety cars, it's going to be last man standing if they can keep it on the track.
I think it's a good job we've got no safety cars around Saudi Arabia, as we would probably be getting them every single lap. So one that I'm definitely in favour of here. So we're just going to go through a few facts here. So Softy, whilst he didn't get his podium in Abu Dhabi, could get a podium here in Saudi Arabia. That would mean that he would break the all-time podium record in TGP1 at 90 poles. He's actually currently drawing with Dan the Man, both on 89 poles. So could Dan the Man even break this record? We'll have to see in the one-shot qualifying in Saudi Arabia. Jonas is sat on 199 podiums in TGP1. Can he reach the double century in Saudi Arabia? Again, another one to watch there. And Matt Tibos has had a podium for 13 consecutive seasons, the best current streak. Phil has the record with 16 consecutive podium seasons, which ended last season when he failed to make the podium. So something to watch there with Tibos. Can he get the podium in Saudi Arabia? We'll soon find out. But yeah, who's your money on here to get pole in Saudi Arabia, Jack?
Not Softy, because Softy, ever since getting that 89th pole, has just become allergic to betting pole position. So we're going to stick the pressure on Casper. He's going to be the Alpine driver. He's going to be the man to watch in Saudi Arabia. And don't put your money on it, but Casper is going to be on pole for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We'll put all the pressure on him to see if he can take the challenge. But no, Dan the Man, he's not going to give this streak, this record up without a fight. Dan the Man's going to try and fight every single week to stop Softy breaking his great record of 89 pole position, only 10 away from the full century. Who will be the first man to cross that 100 mark?
Well, it's going to be between Softy or Dan the Man, isn't it? And I think, yeah, as you say, Softy allergic to pole positions at the moment. But could he end that dry streak of pole positions ever since he hit that 89 mark in Saudi Arabia? We'll soon find out. Dan the Man is probably the man I'm going to be following for a lap here around Saudi Arabia. With one shot qualifying, it is difficult to just pick up on a driver. So apologies if there's a lot of back to and fro in between the drivers as we're trying to track them. But yeah, it's a tight track here under the lights. No room for error. Will we see some surprises in qualifying? It's all about to be revealed as the drivers are making their final preparations, getting their setups all ready for Saudi Arabia. Could we see a twist in the weather or in the running of the race? We'll have to find out soon enough, as we have seen some twists all throughout the season. Not sure on what the weather forecast is for this race. Hopefully one of the drivers will give us some insight into that. But yeah, we'll soon find out, Jack. And yeah, let's see how this all plays out.
Absolutely. We are going to get going in a couple of seconds. We'll see what is going to happen. We will try and find the man we're going to go on board with. It is going to be Dan the Man, if I can find his name, on the run up to turn number 1 now. What can he do to try and hold on to his record at the moment that is joint with Softy? It's not looking good for him so far. It's not been the greatest beginning of the lap for him. He's down in P6. He's going to try and keep the pressure through sector 1 he goes. He's nice and tight on the flat curves, running a wee bit wider, trying to get the best run. Avoid the curb on the left. Use all the curb on the left this time around. Try not to ride the curb, because the curbs in sector 1 are going to cost you big time. Now, the swoop left-hander, the big long left-hander where the tyres are absolutely screaming to be let go because it's so painful for them. It's looking very good for Dan the Man so far through the first couple of sectors. He's keeping it nice and clean. It's very fast, using every inch of the surface he can in that Alfa Romeo to try and put the pressure and lead the pole position. What can he do now? Coming through the DRS zones. The swooping left where the Red Bulls in 2023 were cutting and getting away with it. But that's a topic for another day. He'll open the DRS for the second final time on the run up to the final corner, where you have to brake so late to get it right. Dunk the front end of the car into the corner as aggressive as you can. Use all the exit. Don't hit the wall on the right hand side. It will run up to the line. Where will Dan the Man finish after attacking the track very well? It's only going to be P4. And I tell you what, I told you not to put money on Casper, but he's only gone and done it.
Casper, I tell you what, you should be reading the palms with this kind of prediction here. Casper in pole position ahead of Softy, who hasn't been able to crack that 89th pole drought that he has at the moment. And that is something that Casper's going to be over the moon with, especially considering he just got a podium in Abu Dhabi as well, and he'll be in a fantastic starting position for this race. So let's run through your order quickly. So Casper taking that brilliant pole position ahead of Softy. The gap is ridiculously close there at 300ths of a second, with Jovial Manatee rounding out the podium starting positions. And Dan the Man in 4th. Would have been hoping for maybe a little bit higher there, with Jack Hickey in 5th, John is in 6th, Alistair Bain in 7th, Lewis Craig in 8th, Wet Lemons in 9th, and Court Gill rounding out your top 10. And then New Zealand Cam having an absolute mare in 11th place here, with Dom Smith in 12th, Phil Bardwell in 13th, Chris Johnson in 14th, Lorraine on ITV in 15th, Tim Austin 16th, Jack Pearson 17th, and Aidan Griffins rounding out your order in 18th, getting a disqualification, I'm sure, for some kind of track limits issue in one-shot qualifying. So, ERT Casper on the front of the grid for this race. He's going to be under a lot of pressure here from Softy at the start. What will Casper need to do to keep Softy behind in these first few corners?
It's all about getting away off the line good, but it's the second phase of the start that Casper needs to hold on to. Softy has been the better man on that against everyone this season. It's the second phase of the start, but you can keep the lead of the race if you're leading into turn 1 for the first sector. He cannot drain his battery though before the DRS is enabled, because if you drain that battery, it's going to be a very long night for you. New Zealand Cam, disaster for him. He's in P11. And he's not going to really know the man beside him. It's Dom Smith in P12, very high.
We got 5 lights illuminated under the lights in Saudi Arabia here, and it's lights out and away they go. And he seems to have gotten a great start here. Casper, Softy, not getting the best of starts there, and Casper is comfortably in the lead coming around these first few corners. Softy there, 4/10 behind, and we've got some challenges here in the background between Jack Hickey, Jonas, and Dan the Man. Some positions changing. We're almost side by side, but they're all going line astern as we're going through this tight, twisty left-hand, right-hand section that the drivers are going to have to be really close to the walls and hopefully not touch them, otherwise that'll be a major issue. And Dan the Man has lost a couple of positions from the start there, but he is right on the back of Jonas. Will he make a move into this tight left-hander? He's going to go for it. He dives up the inside on those medium tyres, and Dan the Man is back up into 5th position, trying to recover that from the start there, Jack.
Great overtake from Dan the Man. Casper is actually on the softs. Everyone else on the mediums down to 14th, where Chris is the next man on the soft. So that good start may be causing the soft tyres, but he's got to try and peel away from Softy now. He's got to break that 1 second and use the advantage the softs will give him at this stage of the Grand Prix. Dan the Man, though, is going to try and make a move on Jack Hickey. They're so close together, but he's not going to be able to make it there. Will he get a good run on the big, long left-handed straight? He's going to try and make the move round the outside. He's going to go, Jack Hickey going to go defensive, and later on the brakes is the McLaren. Should allow him to hold on to P4 for now. Lewis Craig made a move past Alistair, and New Zealand Cam is already on the back of Lewis Craig as well. What is going to happen is Johners going to be looking to make a move on the back of Dan the Man. He's not going to be close enough with no DRS at the moment.
And that was incredibly close there. Great defensive driving there from Jack Hickey as we're seeing the positions changing constantly behind. New Zealand Cam up to 7th place now on those medium tyres. He has a fantastic start despite his starting position back in 11th when he was on the grid. Not so great qualifying, making it up here in the race, and he's already on the back of Jonas. Almost pushing him round this section here. I'm sure he is actually pushing him round this section. He's trying to look for an inroad here. Will he go to the inside on this tight left-hander? Thinks better of it. He's going to wait for a better opportunity as Jonas is running a little bit wide. That gives a bit of an opening to New Zealand Cam. New Zealand Cam is trying to get around him, but seems to be biding his time, being patient. It's a long race and he has to be patient, but he has got some great traction here. He's going to go side by side with Jonas. Will he be able to make this move? He's thinking better of it. A Softy now is starting to close that gap to Casper. Will he be in a striking position? I'm sure he will be when DRS is enabled, Jack.
Yeah, Softy in the striking distance, but Dan the Man's now past Jack Hickey. Jack Hickey going to try and hold him off, but it's not going to be enough at this stage. Jack Hickey not going to be as late as the break as Cam in the background of your picture as well. Sneaks down the inside of the Red Bull, but now it's all on Softy. He sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. There's no DRS. It's straight Mercedes power versus Alpine power, and it's not going to be enough for Softy at the moment as Jonas is back past Cam, and Cam going to be later on the brakes. Down the inside he goes. There's been a few fruitful overtakes from Cam so far in this race, but that one is nice and clean, and up to P6 is the Williams driver. There's going to be a few complaints from guys further back in the grid though about some of the overtakes that have happened so far.
Cam already out of ERS. He's got those lights flashing on the back of that Williams, so he's not in the greatest position to be working his way up the field, as I'm sure other drivers have saved their ERS for later battles here. But Softy, 4/10 behind ERT Casper. Casper has a tall order here to keep Softy behind him with such a high-speed track and 3 DRS zones to contend with as well. Casper will have to give him the drive of his life on those soft tyres and hope that they will be able to hold out until about lap 6 as to when the pit window opens. But Softy already trying to make a move here. Softy actually taking the lead from Casper, and Casper is not going to be best pleased that he has lost out on that section of the track. Can he make a move back on Softy here? DRS goes wide open here. We're going to go on board with Casper, who is just holding back like Leclerc versus Verstappen back in 2022, I believe it was. Playing the games between each other with the DRS detection. And now Casper is going to go back at Softy here. He goes to the outside. It's going to be a relatively easy move by the looks of it. Softy goes back into the slipstream, and Casper lives to fight another day back in first position, Jack.
Absolutely. Tactics being played there early on. Dan the Man made the move on the AlphaTauri of Giovinazzi to take the final step of the podium for the moment. His teammate Kurt Gill is past the Red Bull of Johners as well. further down the road. But what a move it was from Casper, and Softy now just going to bide his time. He's in no rush, he's got plenty of laps, plenty of battery and plenty of tyre left to go for the moment. But Cam, who's kind of made up all the positions he can in this race, he's now coming up to the guys that can challenge him pace-wise, and he's finding it a bit more difficult to get past Jack Hickey. And Wet Lemons is actually making a move on Johners. Johners going to try fight it, and Johners does get back past, and then Ferrari of Phil Bardswell late on the brakes. Can he get the position off the McLaren? Car number 88 going to try and squeeze the McLaren away, but the McLaren not giving up without a fight. They're still side by side, and the McLaren has to yield for now as Phil Bardswell takes P9, and Lewis Craig is wanting a bit of action as well. And Softy, oh, he was very close to the back of Casper there, and he had to back off a wee bit, but the DRS now should allow him to absolutely fly past the Alpine, and he does. Softy retakes the lead of the Grand Prix, and Phil did get P9 in that battle further back.
More games by the looks of things from Casper. Casper seemed to get out of the way for Softy there, so he could get the DRS onto this back straight. Is he close enough to be able to take it to Softy with that DRS open? I don't think he is, and maybe it was just more that he just didn't want his race to be completely ruined. But Casper now seems to be advantage him, as he is right behind Softy, almost pushing him around turn 2. Coming through here, can he stay close from turn 4 onwards? We'll have to see. But there's moves in the background here between Phil Bardwell and Wet Lemons. Phil Bardwell and Wet Lemons have been next to each other for most of this lap. Contending here, Phil Bardwell will have the inside line. Wet Lemons still trying to stick around the outside but goes off the track. He's got Lewis Craig for company in the background here, who nearly had an accident with him earlier on in the lap when we were watching the fighting going on. But that is just not doing. Phil Bardwell seems to be staying ahead at the moment, and he's got Johners further up the road. New Zealand Cam still flashing on that ERS. Pure talent is what's keeping him close to Jack Hickey at the moment. He's got no electrical power to be able to deploy at the moment, but Jack Hickey holding him up quite nicely, and New Zealand Cam, despite working his way up from 11th place, still has a lot of work to do to be able to be competing for those podium places.
Yep, he's going to put the pressure on. He's got the DRS through the left-hander. We go. He's going to try and avoid the curb on the right. He does manage to. He's going to use the battery. There's not enough. He's not going to recover any of that battery in this Grand Prix. He might get a few bits in the pits. He's going to move to the right-hand side where Jack Hickey has managed to hold him off the whole Grand Prix so far. Later on the brakes is the McLaren, but it's not going to be enough. The Williams takes P5. He's going to go defensive very early because he knows he's a sitting duck, and into the pits goes New Zealand Cam. He's the first man out of everyone to jump, and will we see a bit of a chain reaction? The undercut here is going to be very powerful, and Casper, he's going to be the next man in the pits.
It's an interesting one that on the medium tyres as well. He's pitting on lap 6. We were expecting the medium tyre runners to be pitting no earlier than lap 7. So he is really going for a tactical undercut here as Jack Pearson gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And kind of expected really that Jack Pearson would get a penalty in this race, but we digress. As Casper, 6/10 behind Softy at the moment on those soft tyres. Is he suffering with the tyre wear compared to the medium tyre runners at the moment? We'll soon find out with the timesheets. But yeah, the soft tyre runners expected to start pitting this lap. So he just needs to stay close to Softy. And can he perform the undercut on Softy with that alternate strategy? Let's find out as we go further down the field to see the closest battle. Oh, and oh my goodness, Phil Bardwell has spun and put it in the wall. He is, I don't know what happened there, if it was an error or he made contact with another driver, but Phil Bardwell has made that error. Luckily seems to have kept his front wing intact by what I can see on the stream. I don't know if he's got any residual damage here. We're going to go further back up the field as Dan the Man and Jovial Manatee are fighting at the moment, but Phil Bardwell will not be happy with that. Maybe he'll jump into the pits at this point as Jovial Manatee now jumps into the pits, and Casper in the pits as well. Will the undercut work for the soft tyre runner here, Jack?
It should do. The undercut for Casper will allow him to get past Softy as long as he can get out of the pits without getting held up by anyone. It looks like he's going to be safe for now. Phil just lost all downforce in the car. It looked like it was on water and aquaplaning into the wall. He had absolutely no control. And there you see the man in the background, Casper coming out the pit lane now. There's New Zealand Cam coming round the first corner now. He's still behind Casper, so the undercut does get closer. No, Alistair Bain was in the wall there as well. He's out of the Grand Prix. What a crash that was. The AlphaTauri stricken absolutely no power in that car, and Jack Hickey has managed to re-overtake Court Gill. He's trying to force him wide as they're still side by side, but the McLaren manages to hold on to his position, and that was vital for Jack Hickey's Grand Prix, and he's almost hit the wall. He's gone on the curb, and he's actually ruined his race as Johnner had to take avoiding action and has to give that position back for overtaking off the circuit.
Oh my goodness, there's so much drama happening within the space of about 4 corners as I'm not sure what happened there with Alistair Bain. I thought it was a glitch on my screen, but it looked like he got wedged in turn 2 on the outside wall and just couldn't move. But some great moves there, and Jack Hickey having to take avoiding action for all that wall as well, and John is having to take avoiding action from that. He's now on the back of Jack Hickey, side by side coming through here as Jonas is using the DRS to get through, and Jonas makes the move around the outside of that corner. Great move from Jonas, but this means that Jack Hickey will be able to come back at him, as Lewis Craig is also coming back at him as well. Will we have a 3-way fight into the final corner? We'll soon see, as nobody is able to make some headway, but we've still got the back straight to come as these drivers are still to pit. And will they all dive into the pits here? No, they're still going at it. So Jack Hickey, Lewis Craig, all over the back of him. Will Lewis Craig be able to make the move? Coming round the outside. Jack Hickey on the inside for the first corner, but will be on the outside for the next one. Gives plenty of room to Lewis Craig, and Lewis Craig just can't get the traction down, and it looks like Jack Hickey is pushing him wide. Oh my goodness. Nip and tuck, elbows out here, and Jack Hickey has kept that move stuck. But lots of close racing here as we're going to go over to Jovial Manatee and see what he can do on New Zealand Cam, who's up to 3rd place at the moment, Jack.
Absolutely great stuff from Jovial New Zealand Cam, but Lewis Craig is actually coming back at Jack Hickey, going to maybe have a wee sniff, not close enough to have a move there. Lewis Craig having some great battles in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Softy's back in the DRS of Casper, who has the provisional lead of the race with 5 laps to go, but Softy clawing down that gap, and he could be leading for not much longer. The gap is coming down very quickly between the top 2, and those soft tires seem to be working very well on a low fuel load in that Aston Martin.
Indeed, Softy going round the outside into the final corner on Casper. Casper will have the DRS, I'm sure, for the next DRS zone, as Softy has just managed to take the lead here. We're going to go on board with Casper now, who is behind Softy. No DRS for him, so looks like he wasn't quite in there as Jovial Manatee takes the fastest lap of the race at the moment, and Softy back in the lead of this race with a few laps to go, as we were seeing a battle between Jonas and Court brewing as well, and Jonas still ahead, but yeah, still all to play for here. No settling down at the moment, and I'm sure it's going to get even spicier as we come to the end of this race, Jack.
Absolutely. Lewis Craig sailed past Jack Hickey on the start-finish straight to take P8. He's now got Court Gill in his sights. Can he close that gap down? Jovial Manatee with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to try and keep Cam honest. Cam has been derating since lap 1, it feels like, and he's going to be under pressure from Jovial Manatee later on in this Grand Prix. Casper, though, he just needs to try and hold on to that DRS of Softy ahead. The gap's around 0.8 of a second. He's just got to try hang on until the final couple of moments of this Grand Prix, if he can. Softy actually using a bit of the battery to try and peel away, maybe, trying to get out of that DRS of the Alpine behind. And Softy would rather much like that to try and settle the race down and get back into a controlling factor.
It's going to have to be, Casper's going to have to rely on, and we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 for a Ferrari. Looks like Phil Bardwell's had another moment here. Not sure what's happened, but maybe the downforce in his car is just non-existent. He's not running again, so no dramas there by the looks of things. But as I was saying before, will Casper have that tyre advantage on those mediums compared to Softy come the end of the race? I think that's what he's going to be banking on here. And will Softy be able to open up that gap in order to get far ahead so that Casper can't make a challenge on him? Soon to find out, but we're almost 0.9 of a second of a gap between Casper and Softy. So all still to play for here. Jovial Manatee on the back of New Zealand Cam, only 0.6 in it. Will he be able to mount a challenge on New Zealand Cam, who's been, as you say, derating since what feels like lap 1? Again, we'll soon see, but it looks like New Zealand Cam had a bit of a moment coming out of that corner there. There's the flashing light on the Williams, showing that he is still derating. So an interesting tactic there that seems to be paying off for New Zealand Cam at the moment, but yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold it up for the rest of this race, is he, Jack?
Well, he's got his Christmas tree up early, and it's looking like it's going to be Christmas for Jovial Mani. He's closing in so much in the back of the Williams. He's not going to use the DRS in this part of the track. He's just going to try and close the gap as much as he can as he lifts off early before the corner to get the best run. But he's actually going to have to watch his wing mirrors, because Dan the man's wanting a bit of the pie, and he's going to be the one that's going to look like he's going to be able to make the move. Will anyone actually be able to make the move though? Jovial Mani's having a look round the outside. Cam's not going to be able to defend it, and if Cam later on the brakes, the Williams man is, Dan the man's going to try and sneak it up the inside. He's robbed Jovial Mani a P4. Will he be able to rob Cam of P3? And yes, he is, and Cam could be in danger of losing 2 positions into turn 1, and he has. Down to P5. He's going to try fight it if he can. A bit late and a bit argy-bargy with the elbows out, and he holds on to P4 for now, and Casper is well and truly out of the DRS, and it could be curtains on his opportunities of winning the Grand Prix. But Johners, he's on the back of Court Gill. He wants to make a move. The lone Red Bull man tonight. He's had a good season, not quite been podium and race win level potential, but he's been good so far, and he's not going to have the run through the end of Sector 1 as Jack Hickey made a picture-like move on Lewis Craig that Lewis Craig did on the lap previous. Jack Hickey back into P8, and it looks like it's curtains on Casper's challenge for the race win.
It looks like it is, and as we were watching that race, it shows that the gamesmanship that Cam was trying to play to get that DRS for the home straight wasn't taken into account. Dan the man, who was steaming up from the rear there, and took full advantage of what was going on in front of him, and a fantastic move to bring him into the podium places. New Zealand Cam is now under pressure from Jovial Mani here. Is he going to try something very similar with the gamesmanship? He seems to be changing a bit of tactics there. Jovial Mani, does he have enough ERS to be able to take it to him? I think he does, and I think this is going to be curtains on New Zealand Cam holding 4th place here. Jovial Mani goes round the outside with the DRS, and it looks like it's a job done here unless New Zealand Cam's able to outbrake him, but he doesn't seem to be able to do that. And as we go back to the fight for first place, as you say, I think it's curtains. 2.5 seconds the gap now, and that's just not going to be able to be brought through. Oh my goodness me! Lewis Craig had a moment going into turn 2, the back end stepping out there that's allowed Wet Lemons to go up. As Cam's out! What's happened to Cam?
Crash. He's lost the rear end of the car through the middle of Sector 1. He's out of the Grand Prix. He got through turn 1 and 2 okay. He tried to get through turn 3 too early on the power, and he did a donut into the wall. A disaster for the Williams man, and that should allow Dan the man the podium for him tonight, unless Jovial Mani can somehow close in the gap. But Johners has just been overtaken by Jack Hickey for P6. The race didn't look good at the start for Jack Hickey, but it's kind of coming into his favour as the McLaren looks set for P6 for now. Going to try and close the gap to Court ahead as Wet Lemons has passed Lewis Craig, as well as Lewis almost did what Cam did and went straight into the wall after turn 3.
Johners appears to have front wing damage, and that's probably given Jack Hickey the opening that he needed to take that position there. Can Jack Hickey close down on Court Gill with 1 lap to go in this race? Now we're on the final lap. Jovial Mani is within a second. He's got the DRS open to close down on Dan the man. This is going to get spicy towards the end of it as Jovial Mani using everything he can to try and close down, but just not close enough. Will he be able to stay on the back of Dan the man with 2 more DRS zones in the lap to go in order to take the fight to him, to take that podium position off Dan? We'll soon see. Lewis Craig is on the back of Wet Lemons, who is on the back of Jonas here. Jonas suffering with that front wing damage. Can he do enough to keep it ahead and keep that 7th position behind Jack Hickey? We'll find out. Jovial Mani dropping a little bit here at 7/10 seems to be the gap. Is he just biding his time on Dan the man until the DRS zones come open? We'll soon see. But this is not over just yet. Wet Lemons now 4.5 tenths. My goodness, I don't know which one to watch here, Jack.
Absolutely, this is going to be right until the start-finish straight. The battles are going to be going on the whole lap until the final moments. Jovial Mani has got about half of his battery left compared to Danaman. It's about 50 versus 25%. Giulio Mani is going to have to do this as late as he possibly can to try and steal that final step of the podium as Softy comes round the final corner now. That should be another race win in his season 41. As Giulio Mani is closing and it's not enough, so we'll go to Softy on the line. He wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
He wins the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, but we're going to have to cut back to Lewis Craig here. Lewis Craig against Wet Lemons. Wet Lemons round the outside of Jonas. Wet Lemons isn't going to... He's argy-bargy. Oh my goodness, there's nearly been a plane crash there. But this is nip and tuck coming across the line. Wet Lemons will just take it from Lewis Craig. That was incredibly close stuff. 0.03 of a second. The gap there, as you saw, it was a drag race to the line. But... wow, I told you it was going to go right up to the line. Didn't know which one to track, and that seemed to be the one that we had to keep an eye on because that was the one that was nip and tuck up to the line. But back to your race winner, Soft Cop here taking a dominant drive by what felt like ERT Caspers at the initial stage to win. And he's just shown his class this evening, taking both wins in Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, and some fantastic racing up and down the field as well, as we get the 5-second time penalty unserved there from Jack Pearson. And Phil Bardwell coming around the final corner, a race to forget for him, 2 spins. Don't know if he's got wing damage from the second spin. He didn't from the first, but yeah, he'll round out the final places there. And wow, what a race, Jack.
It's just TG1 for you this season. It has been fantastic to watch all week, all night long. It's so good to watch. Softy picks up another win, showing his class, as you said. He's just been the dominant man. He's consistent, he's clean, and he just knows how to get the job done. Danaman, though, he did get the podium. Well done to Danaman. He's had a great second half of his season that we've had out of the round so far. But Softy again, I believe that's win number 9 on the season. He's getting ever closer to the Confessor's 12 wins in a season, and that's another record that he looks set to break. But if it's anything to go by his pole record, he might not be able to break that either. He almost had the wins in a row, but that was broken last week. Casper, though, he's had a good night. P3 and P2, he'll be happy with that.
He will be, as much as he wanted to take the win this evening to round out what he felt was going to be a perfect evening for him. It just wasn't enough against the dominant Soft Cop, who has been absolutely dominant this season, looks to be taking the driver's title come possibly next week. But we'll have to see when the points are all totted up towards the end. So Softy taking that win from Casper, who will be a little bit gutted, and Dan the Man able to hold off the challenge from Jovial Manatee to round out your podium. Court Gill making a great 5th place there with Jack Hickey, Jonas, Wet Lemons and Lewis Craig all in a very tight battle towards the end, and Matt Tibos rounding out your top 10. There was Dom, Chris Johnson, Lorraine on ITV in 13th, 14th was Jack Pearson, Phil Bardwell, a race to forget for him in 15th. Cam crashing out, as did Aidan and Alistair Bain, the 2 brothers there. And that will round out your order and round out the racing for this evening as well. So Tibos got the driver of the day there, but I think that'll be down to just pure positions gained. So who would be your driver of the day for Saudi Arabia and your driver of the evening for tonight's racing?
Well, there's the obvious choice in Softy. 2 race wins, coming up to 9 wins on the season. But I kind of enjoyed Dan the Man tonight. He brought the pace on the softs in Abu Dhabi. He brought the pace towards the end there, picking up a podium. And it may not be the seasons previous that he's having this year, obviously been up there with title battles and race wins, but I think Dan the Man this season's been a pleasure to watch. And I think I'll give it to Dan the Man tonight. He's had a great night, and he's actually provided some great battles on the track. He may not have started the season in TGP1 this year, but he's thrown up some great races, and I think he deserves it tonight after 2 great finishes from himself.
I'd have to be in agreement with you there. I think Cam ran a good race towards the end of Abu Dhabi, gaining all those positions and having that argy-bargy fight with Softy. But we can't discredit Softy from what he's gained this evening. Some dominant drives in both Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia to really tot up those points for the evening, and to just only help to try and secure that driver's title in TGP1 for this season. So, yeah, but I'd give my hat off to all the drivers. Some fantastic racing up and down the field, clean racing as well from the looks of it, which is always great to see. So yeah, a big thank you to all the drivers for racing this evening in such a clean manner. And if I had to give it to, I'd be in agreement with you for Dan the Man there. So that concludes our racing for this evening. I believe next week we'll be in Las Vegas and Portugal, where Portugal will have the one-shot qualifying and the 35% race as well. So that'll be one to surely tune in for. Don't go missing that, because I'm sure that'll be a very close race there as well. And I'm sure we'll potentially see Softy mopping up the title there, providing he doesn't have any kind of bad racing next week. But any closing thoughts before we end the stream here, Jack?
Just another great night, and I'm looking forward to next week. I believe you'll be racing next week, Lucas, so I'm looking forward to seeing you back in the Mercedes garage and getting back on the track. And Softy, yeah, I do believe he can wrap up the title next week, so hopefully, if he does, we can get some more winners and some more spectacular racing with only 6 rounds to go of this season that's been so incredible so far.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think hopefully my season starts from next week, because it's not been the greatest season for me this year. But yeah, I enjoy the racing. It's always great to be in TGP1 and great to be in the Mercedes as well. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in to TGP1 for this fantastic night of racing under the lights. Join us next week, as I said, for Las Vegas and for Portugal. You won't want to miss this one. But in the meantime, see you on PS4.